Good morning and welcome to the GELION PLC Interim Results Investor Presentation. Throughout this recorded presentation, investors will be in listen-only mode. Questions are encouraged and can be submitted anytime via the Q&A tab situated in the right-hand corner of your screen. Just click Q&A, scroll to the bottom, type your question and press send. The company may not be in a position to answer every question received during the meeting itself. However, the company review all questions submitted today and publish responses where it's appropriate to do so. Before we begin, we'd like to submit the following poll. I'd now like to hand you over to Hannah McCaughey, CEO, Amit Gupta, CFO, and Dr. Steve Mann, Non-Executive Chairman. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for that introduction. Good morning to our UK investors and good evening to those joining us from Australia. Welcome to GELION PLC's inaugural interim results for the period ending 31st of December 21. I'm Steve Mann, Non-Exec Chairman, joined this morning in our presentations by Amit Gupta, our CFO, and by Hannah McCaughey, who is our new CEO and who I'll introduce a little more fully later. Today's materials will all be available on the Investor Relations portal on our website, so you can find it there later on today. Now, before we go into the meat of the presentation, which I'll hand to Hannah to lead, I wanted to say a few words about the team and the market context that we find ourselves in. You'll hear today about the dynamic changes that are occurring in the energy market, not only dramatic changes in energy prices, and that's something we will see day to day in the press, but the geopolitical shift in the supply of energy and commodities. Decarbonisation has always been a major driver in the energy market, but security of supply has suddenly become every bit as important. And all of these changes, which I think are going to be enduring changes, are positive for the whole storage market, but particularly for GELION. Since the IPO marked really the start of a transition for our business, a transition that took us from a highly differentiated, attractive technology business to create a valuable commercial business. And in the short time since our IPO, where our profile has risen, we've seen an acceleration in demand. Our customers are wanting our products in their hands sooner. So we've taken the decision that we need to accelerate our plans to be a global and commercially led business, transitioning more quickly from our R&D roots. And that transition, the caliber and experience of the leadership is critical. As all of you know who've investors in high-tech companies and growth companies, the management team is critical to the success of the business. So the board unanimously have acted decisively, and we've looked to build a broad new management team to allow us to accelerate and make this transition to be commercial. So we've added in disciplines from manufacturing, sales, and operations, and in the leadership, all of which is to drive the commercial growth and to drive shareholder value. And I'm really pleased today to be able to introduce and welcome Hannah McCaughey as our new CEO to lead the business. Hannah, we're an Anglo-Australian business by nature, and Hannah represents that. She spent 14 years in the UK and is now based in Sydney in Australia. She was 7 years at Centrica in the UK, where she was part of the team that launched the Hive home service, which now has 2 million global customers. That's a service which many in the UK will be familiar with. More recently, Hannah was an executive in the APA Group, which is a large energy infrastructure group in Australia with £12 billion of assets, where she was responsible for all of the battery and microgrid and hydrogen projects. So Hannah brings to us deep and energy experience, which is directly relevant to GELION's business plans. And so delighted to have Hannah on board, and I'd like to hand over to Hannah now to walk us through the presentation.
Steve, thank you for that kind introduction. I couldn't say how excited I am to be here. I really feel like I'm in the right place at the right time with a great company, with a great strategy, and as Steve said, a great team of people. So I've joined recently, but I've also been joined by Simon Mott, who's a very experienced energy sector executive. Simon was VP of Schneider Power Systems in Asia Pacific and brings with him a whole host of deep knowledge around the energy sector, and it's delightful to be working with Simon. Equally, we've had Nick Batt join us as Engineering Director. Nick Batt has worked at RES, which would be familiar to many of the UK investors, and he has deep sector knowledge, specifically around storage, and worked for an energy startup called eCult, and thrilled to have him on board because, you know, we are providing power, and it's really great to have his deep expertise. Equally, it's great to be working alongside Amish, who's here today, almost an old hand, and Stuart as well. So a really strong team to capitalise on the opportunities, which we'll talk about further in this presentation. Steve, I'll just hand back to you for the slide on this section.
Yeah, so this is a recap really of what we presented in the admission document and at IPO, which is, you know, what are the fundamental assets in Gelion's business? And we have a suite of battery chemistry technologies. One is the zinc bromide technology, which is the long duration market. And then we have a suite of additives which go into the lithium market, which is a more shorter term transportation market. And the zinc bromide has features which are coming more into their own. It is a very long life, safe battery based on materials which are in abundant supply and widely distributed around the planet, which is unlike many of the issues for other chemistries. And it's an inherently safe and robust technology. So we'll talk a little more in this presentation around how we see the market for that and how we look to go to market for that. But it's great to have diversification of technology because that gives us diversification of routes to market and ultimately to customers. And the additives business is really targeting the lithium-ion business and the advanced lithium business, where we are able to significantly increase charging times, charging rates, and power density of the batteries. So we have great diversification here, and both technologies look to leverage off incumbent infrastructure. So we don't have to build huge greenfield battery solutions or manufacturing plants. We can work with partners to get us into that marketplace. And really that's the theme of today's presentation, is going to be, how is the market changing? How is it coming to Gelion? And what is Gelion going to be doing to try and get into the market more quickly and deliver shareholder value? So Hannah, perhaps I'll hand back to you now to walk through the bulk of the presentation. You're on mute still, Hannah. Yeah.
Thank you. I think at the end of COVID, I would have learnt that, but I'm still learning. Anyway, thank you, Steve, for giving us such a great introduction. And just to build on what Steve has said about our strategy. I mean, you know, we are a company with breakthrough technology in some of the most important sectors in the whole energy transition, which is around energy storage. And our strategy has two important legs: the stationary energy storage, and we are looking to build partnerships around bringing this new technology to life. Because we have the smarts, we have an incredible set of IP, we have some breakthrough technology, but really what is at the heart of our strategy is bringing this product quickly to market, given the amount of demand. And so, as Steve said, we have this capital light approach where we don't have to build greenfield factories. We can partner with different partners in global markets and therefore bring our product to market more quickly. The second leg is around these lithium-ion additives, and I think it's really great is that we're not just competing with lithium in the stationary storage, we're actually part of making lithium more effective. So it's that diversity of strategy and it's the diversity of business models that I think gives Gelion two strong areas to grow in, both based off the same teams that feed off each other in terms of, you know, bringing this new technology from, you know, all the smarts into real life products that customers really want. And we hear that constantly, even my short time in the business. And really, you know, at its heart, Gelion really has a global outlook. As Steve said, you know, we're born in Australia, coming of age in the UK, but we have a number of global partnerships already in place, one in India, and others in the UK. But we're actively looking at several markets, which we'll talk about later today. But it really is that global outlook, and I see that actually in our team, where we have over 15 different nationalities represented in our team, because of the excitement that there is around the global breakthrough and strategy that we can do. And we're a global company doing something really different. So we're global in our outlook in terms of our strategy, also in our people. And it's great to have a strong foot in the UK and in Australia, which are both important storage markets. So again, just, focusing on market outlook, because there really has been some reasonably dramatic developments even since we IPO'd. We knew that storage was a strong market then, but, the amount of things that have happened since IPO really give us cause to believe that we are in the right place at the right time. Stationary energy is forecast to grow 25% compound growth year on year. And EV, speaking to our lithium additive side, has grown by 50% year on year since 2014 and is about to overtake spend on renewables. So these twin themes of stationary energy and mobile energy are really where GELION's technology plays so strongly. So we are deeply aligned with the market conditions. And what we're going to just do today is to take you through some of them, just so you really take home, how exciting it is for GELION to be in this sector. So, the last 6 months in Europe, I probably don't need to tell a lot of people on this call, have been, very dramatic for Europe. Towards the end of 2021, there were energy price shocks across Europe due to really the marginal plant cost of running gas-fired power to keep homes warm and businesses going when there was a shortage of gas. And that has now only been compounded by the Ukraine crisis and the very immediate and strong statements by senior EU officials about the need to be independent of Russian energy. So this theme of both price shocks and energy security means that we are seeing an acceleration of the growth of the energy storage market. And just to give one example of this on the slide, around the EU renewables aspirations, they were already high, around about 900 gigawatts, and now they've added another 80 gigawatts, which is just really a very sizable amount, and they want to bring 20% of that front-loaded. And these are all announcements since we've gone to IPO. And you can't bring on that much renewables without more storage, because it will destabilize the grid, and you can only build out the grid so fast. So having this energy storage is going to be such a critical part of the EU addressing these twin concerns of both energy price shocks and energy independence. The other example, which I'll just walk you through on the next slide, which is also illustrative of this, is the EU already had ambitious hydrogen targets, some of the biggest in the world. This was the prior target at the end of 2021. And then since the Russian invasion of Ukraine, this is the new target. It's quadrupled. Why is that relevant for energy storage? Again, it goes back to, if you're bringing on this much renewables, you will need energy storage to stabilize the grid. And many hydrogen developers are talking about the importance of batteries to maintain high load factors on the electrolyzer, which is ultimately what brings down the cost of being able to produce green hydrogen cheaply and meet these ambitious targets, which serve those desires for independence from Russian gas. So Europe's been a dramatic place, but actually around the world there are several things that have been happening around storage that are very notable. In the UK, the recent capacity market, 1 gigawatt was allocated to storage projects, including long-term storage, which was a new record. The US, California, has announced very recently a desire to bring on 15 gigawatts of storage by 2032 and have allocated large sums of money to delivering that, much of which again goes to long-term storage, which our stationary energy plays to. And right here in Australia, we're getting a bit nervous about the lights going out because they're shutting coal-fired power stations much faster than forecast. And for every utility that is announcing this, they are bringing on new forms of green energy to replace that, and batteries are a very large part of that. So in all those major markets I took you through in the earlier slides, you know, there are really, these are not just targets, we're seeing actual deployments of energy storage at a very fast rate, and hence the demand we're experiencing from, you know, so many customers in the market for our product. And I think this is a theme again. I'm sure you all read the papers and see this, but it's a really good chart to bring it home. That compound rate of mobile storage, so that the huge demand for lithium ion in the mobile storage market means there's real competition going on between various motor companies to get its hands on lithium, and it's causing price spikes. And it's not just lithium, it's cobalt, nickel, which are critical ingredients to building the most common form of EV lithium batteries. And down the bottom there in that very flat line, that's zinc. And that's what makes us feel very confident about our technology. It's very abundant. Our zinc bromide technology, uses one of the most abundant and cheap minerals that are around for building batteries. And we just believe that, there's going to need to be a diversity of sources for battery storage, and zinc bromide offers a very important diversity. Equally, our additives really become more attractive when these metal prices go up, because obviously people want to make the batteries higher in density and cheaper, and so that creates demand for our additives. So both of these trends, the very small movement in zinc prices and the higher increases in lithium, cobalt, nickel, means that both of our technologies are poised in a very good position. So overall, the themes I've walked you through is renewable storage is growing significantly year on year. The EV supply chains are under pressure. The demand for storage diversity is clear. And the rising costs of oil and gas, are very clearly being discussed as a daily matter. And we think this Ukraine crisis, it's not just something that's going to happen in this couple of months and we'll see a change towards the end of the year. These are fundamental shifts around the global energy storage market that we will continue to see. And really, I think the other thing, apart from we've talked about the benefits that we have from a metals perspective, one of the things we're very proud of and we think is very important about our zinc bromide battery is the zinc bromide material acts as a fire retardant. So it's very safe. It can operate very safely in high temperatures. And there are growing concerns around the flammability of lithium storage and a number of those incidents, which makes developers very interested in our technology, particularly if they're going to have large batteries around hydrogen, which is highly flammable, and there are concerns around that. So I think, it really just goes to serve the point of being in such a good place. So just a few more of our real advantages. Because our zinc bromide battery can operate at 50 degrees without an air conditioner. It makes it easier to build and means that it can operate in hot places without air conditioning, which again makes it very attractive for off-grid markets, but even hot places like Australia, they often get to 50 degrees. So lithium is a concern for developers. I think something that we are seeing that is of increasing interest is the duration of our batteries. And that is that it can last from 4 to 24 hours. And, you know, that is very important if you have a day that is not sunny and not windy, that, you know, our type of storage can really carry the market through these sustained periods where the intermittency of renewables does, you know, pose an issue to security. So our storage is particularly attractive in that long duration market. And then finally, we really do like to re-emphasize this feature of we can reuse existing infrastructure. Lead acid manufacturers are really looking for new ways to diversify into new markets, and our zinc bromide battery does poise a very attractive way for them to have new revenue streams. So just in sum, we have the funds to execute our strategy in a favourable market. We have a new team to pursue these commercial opportunities, and we're very focused on moving from exciting technology into commercialization. We have our current developments are going well, which I'll touch on in the next section. And, our lithium silicon additives are also progressing well. So I think then just, we've been talking about our path to commercialization, and really the message here is, we had this incredible team that got us to IPO, and, we proved that we can achieve a lot in a short period of time. Most of those people are still with the business and still incredibly fired up about bringing their dreams to a reality. But now we're looking forward, and we're looking forward to the future. We're looking forward to capitalizing on these opportunities, and we're very excited about the prospects ahead. And the real focus we have is, bringing this commercialization to life, meeting the customer demand, producing our batteries at scale, and getting them in their hands so that they're not just talking about all the benefits, they're seeing it in real life. So that's really, where our focus is, and we'd be really focused on market segmentation and, how do we, deliver the best value for our customers. But we're very excited as we look forward to how we can achieve these, and we will be, adapting as necessary to capitalize on the new opportunities that we've talked about so much today. So now that really brings to the close of my section, and I'll hand over to Amit.
Thank you, Hannah. Good morning to all our investors in the UK, and good evening to the investors in Australia. It's a very exciting time for us at GELION, as we are now ready to take advantage, capitalize on the opportunities that Hannah and Steve just summarized. Today, I'm just going to present some key financial themes for the 6-month period ended 31st of December 2021. On the P&L side of things, I'm very pleased to report that the first half results are in line with our plan, so no real surprises there. One thing to note was the non-recurring items. So as you can expect, when a company undertakes a capital raising, they have to incur a lot of one-off or non-recurring expenses. We did the same. So the total non-recurring expenses recognized in the P&L was £4.5 million, of which 700 grand was IPO cost, so listing cost. And the remainder 3.8 was non-cash, accelerated vesting of share options. So share-based payments, which was accelerated because we listed. So it's non-cash in nature and had to be accounted as an expense. Operating expenses almost doubled when compared to prior year. But again, this also reflects getting the company ready to be a listed business with the new board and listing requirements to be followed. On the balance sheet, I think a couple of very, very key themes. There is no debt on the balance sheet and a significant amount of cash that we raised from the pre-IPO and the IPO funds. So we are ready to kind of accelerate our commercialization plans. On the cash flow, I think is the repeat of the message that the cash is allowing company not just to accelerate the execution of its commercialization strategy, but also to capitalize on the additional opportunities that Hannah and Steve just summarized. So we are ready, we are looking, we are live in terms of opportunities coming to us, and we'll keep the market updated as and when they are actually realized. So I think that's it from my side. Back to you, Hannah, for the closing remarks. Thank you.
Thanks, Emmett. So I think showing our high-performing team status, we've kept within time. So we just want you, to take away a few core messages. We really do have a great team in place to capitalize upon the new opportunities that are coming in this very exciting market. The energy market is, really accelerating in terms of its adoption and its hunger for new types of storage, different types of storage, safe storage, and that's what the GELION technology provides. And, we really are well to, to deliver on our existing strategy, but we will really remain agile. And, we're very across these opportunities and are having, frequent discussions with developers and many different types of partners about really how we can bring this commercialization to life and really be part of the energy transition, well before 2030. And, we're a technology that's going to deliver in the timeframes that these developers and markets are looking for. And that's just a really exciting place to be. So with that, I will hand back to the presenter. I'm sure there'll be some Q&A.
Absolutely, Hannah. Thank you very much indeed. Steve, Emmett as well. Thank you for your presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, do please continue to submit your questions just using the Q&A tab situated in the right-hand corner of your screen. But just want the company to take a few moments to review those questions submitted already. I'd like to remind you the recording of the presentation, along with a copy of the slides and the published Q&A, can be accessed via your investor dashboard. Just before we go into the Q&A that we've received during the meeting, we did receive a number of pre-submitted questions from investors, and perhaps I can start the session off with those. The first one reads as follows, and I know it's popped up in the live session as well. Can you please explain the change in leadership from Andrew Grimes to Hannah McKechnie?
Yeah, I'll take that one. So, well, firstly, I'd like to start by thanking Andrew. Actually, Andrew took the company through the whole IPO process and built the platform to enable us to be well capitalized to then take the business forwards. But we've mentioned this theme again and again today about accelerating our path to commercialization. There are lots and lots of interesting technology companies out there, but we don't want to be an interesting technology company. We want to be a successful commercial battery company. And so making that transition involves us having supply chain partnerships and customers and, warranty protection and so on. And that was a transition that Andrew didn't feel he was well placed to make, but he worked really cooperatively with me to make a transition to a new management team, and I think that says a lot about his commitment as a shareholder to the business and also his professionalism. So really that was the transition we're making. It's a transition that not everyone is well suited to make, and I think Andrew was mature enough to work with me on that. So on that respect, that's really what's behind it all. And I think for us, we're delighted that we have the team in place, and we haven't finished yet. We'll be bringing in further people on the sales and business development side to help broaden our global reach. So really, probably that's all I need to say about that question.
Fantastic. Thank you, Steve. Another follow-on question. You have covered this off, I think, well, some of it in the presentation itself. With the recent departure of Andrew as CEO, what will be the main change of focus for GELION under the new leadership?
Well, the change, yeah, and I think it reinforces this message again. I think what we're doing now, and it is one of the questions that came up on the platform this morning, was there's no change in our technology. We're still as committed, and our assets are still the same, and the benefits are still the same. All we're looking to do now is say, how do we get to market more quickly? And really, because getting to market involves having manufacturing, not only customers, but manufacturing partners, system integrators, operational maintenance partners, involves the whole suite of putting the value chain together. And really, that's where the focus is now, is, okay, we now know we have great technologies. How do we get a great product? And how do we have great customers who validate that product? That will differentiate us from others in the market. So we now become, with this new team, a very commercially oriented business seeking to get our technology into product and into the market. So no change in fundamentals of the business, but just a change in emphasis that we need now to put the right team and the right resources in place to get us into the market quicker.
So thank you very much indeed. Next question we have here is, when do we hear from the outcome from the battery testing in Spain? What is the timeline for the revenue from battery sales?
Well, I don't want to speculate on sales. We've given indications in the original admission document, so I think for now let's leave that as our public statement on that. The partnership with Acciona was a competitive process, and we were delighted to make the announcement that we were working with them. Still on track on the timetable that we announced back in February. So, but I think for us, the real benefit there was a demonstration of the validity of our technology, and part of our plan will be working with global leading companies like Acciona, who potentially could buy huge quantities of batteries based on our technology. And very much over the next period, we're looking at bringing on other partners who can help really validate the market potential of our technology.
Thanks, Steve. Endure appears that a significant competitive advantage for big batteries around Australia when combined with solar projects for general supply, but also for remote mining projects. However, there seems to be a little movement regarding MOUs, sales, or JVs with regard to battery supply. What is delaying the growth in sales?
Well, perhaps we can do a double act on this one, Hannah, but I think I'm not sure there's a delay. I think we're only 3 months post IPO. We're looking at building, long-term, materially valuable and significant partnerships, which don't happen overnight. So I think on that respect, I'll just ask a little patience, because at this point we weren't expecting to have signed any of these agreements or made any announcements. What I would say is all of the partnerships that we have spoken about at pre-admission and post-admission are still live, actively progressing, and we're optimistic about where they'll go, and we'll make announcements in due course as to when they're finalized. What we don't really want to do is, we're in the business of announcing things once they're done. We don't really want to speculate or signpost or sign MOUs just in order to generate news flow. We will be announcing material transactions as and when they're completed. But Hannah, anything you wish to add to that?
No, I think that's beautifully said. And I think as we took you through, many of these announcements, I mean, some of those accelerations are weeks old. So, the EU has literally decided, a few weeks ago to bring forward 20% of its capacity. Origin Energy in Australia that announced the early closure of its coal-fired plant, that's measured in weeks ago. So, some of these things are happening, really quickly. And so we want to make sure that, we're doing the right thing at the right time. And Steve's right, we're 3 months out of IPO, but, I think you should take away today that, we have the ambition to be big and to be part of this market.
Fantastic. Thank you, Hannah. Another one we've got here. In Gelion's previous publication, electricity storage market was estimated to grow at 24% CAGR according to Faraday Research. In light of accelerated plans by Tesla and others for far higher battery demand, would Gelion revise its forecast and accelerate building of production facilities?
Again, perhaps we can both chip in here. I think in terms of us building production facilities, I don't think our first step is to build our own greenfield production facility. We're looking at partnering with people who have existing lead acid or lithium production and partnering with them in order to use their infrastructure to deploy our technology. Clearly, to make sales, we have to have product to supply to the market. So really a major priority for us is putting in place those manufacturing partnerships to allow us to have product which we can then supply to customers. So I think there was a question on the Q&A this morning as well on that. But again, can we bring forward sales? Well, we want to bring forward sales, but we have to bring forward manufacturing in order to enable that. So that's really a key short-term objective of the business.
That's fantastic, thank you. And the final pre-submitted question we have here is, noting the announcement on the 28th of February regarding the number of shares held by the company, can you please advise of any change, if any?
I can take that. So in terms of the number of shares that were announced on the 28th of February, it just reflected some options that were exercised by employees. So I think from memory, it was around 100,000 options or 100,000 shares that were exercised by employees.
That's great. Thank you very much indeed. That does conclude the pre-submitted questions. Ahmed, as you can see, we have had a number of questions submitted during the event this morning. If I may just ask you just to click on that Q&A tab, and where appropriate to do so, just to read out the question, either take it or distribute it to the team. That'll be great. Thank you. Sure.
Thank you. So I think the first question from John F was around the share price and the trading volume as to it's quite low, and what is the company going to do to improve this? I think from our perspective, what we are focused on as a company is to accelerate our commercialization strategy and take advantage of all the opportunities that the market has. We strongly believe that the liquidity and the share price will follow once we start delivering on our promises, which we very strongly believe that we'll be able to. And the kind of shareholders that we have are long-term shareholders, and they understand the journey that we have undertaken so far and what it takes to become a commercial product. So again, I think repeating Steve's comment before, that we are focusing on the right opportunities, and just give us some time and the share price and the volume will take care of itself. Second question is from Nigel O. I think Steve already answered that in terms of bringing forward kind of sales targets to meet the growing demand. So I will not repeat that question. The third question was from John F. It's about, will the company need to raise fresh equity before achieving cash flow break even? How long will the 20 million cash last? So I think repeating the same message, that we still believe in the same strategy in terms of commercialization strategy that we had as disclosed in the investor presentation. The plan for the company is to raise fresh capital in FY25. The market expanding, the opportunities are enormous. So if things change, we'll come back to the market, update the market as and when we can. But for now, the plan stays the way it was during the IPO. If I go to the next question, I think that's the question from Simon I has been answered as well. There's a question from Michael W. Any more serious expressions for JV other than us here now?
I think on that, we don't want to preview in the public market what our commercial activities are. So of course we are working hard on our picking the right commercial relationships, but I don't want to speculate today on what they might be. Needless to say, but we understand what needs to be done. People like Hannah joining come from very strategic backgrounds who know how to build strong commercial partnerships and joint ventures. So we're putting teams in place and the expertise in place to build such relationships, but it's inappropriate for us to sort of speculate today as to what they might be. So I think we will update the market as soon as we have news on that.
Thank you, Steve. I think the next one is for you as well, Steve. The question is from John A. Can you say a little more about Hannah's role, which I understand is only on an interim basis? In these circumstances, with so many moving parts and fast pace required, 9 months feels like a short horizon.
Well, it depends. 9 months can feel short, it can feel very long. It's like a week in politics, isn't it? So I think we feel the company needed leadership. We can't have a business without a head, and Hannah comes in with the perfect experience to come and help us make this transition And this next 9 months is critical for us. A lot of the questions have been today around, how we get to market and who we work with and how we accelerate our plans and so on. And we need management in place to help that happen. And I think 9 months is a realistic timeframe where we can start to show tangible results from this transition and this acceleration that we're making. And so Hannah and I are working really closely together. I know it's only a couple of weeks in, but we will be spending time together in the next couple of weeks and working hard on the strategy to drive it forwards. And I'm here to support Hannah in helping us make this transition more quickly.
Thank you, Steve. Question from Mark J. Hannah, maybe for you. What are specific UK plans?
I think one of the things we just point to is, we have that strategic partnership with Armstrong, which is clearly based in the UK. I mean, we're not. I know I'm very ready to get going, but I haven't delivered. I'm not here to deliver a new strategy in 2 weeks. As Steve says, I'm coming over to the UK and actually going to spend a bit of time there. So we just think it's a very attractive market. The latest round of the contract for difference projects, they're bidding 3 times the amount of wind that were in the last 3 rounds. So it's enough for 8 million homes. So that's not a market we would ignore. It's one that we know well. So we will definitely be looking at where we play in that market. But we really are. A lot of these developments are very new, and we've got to make sure that we place our bets in the best place possible. And UK looks like a good market, but we're not ready to announce specific UK strategy.
Thank you, Hannah. The next one is from Rob Bay. How safe is GELION's technology from being disrupted?
I think the two facts we like to roll out is one, we've tested the battery at 600 degrees and it didn't catch on fire. And then secondly, it operates effectively at 50 degrees. And that's because the actual properties of zinc bromide are a fire retardant as opposed to lithium, which is highly flammable. So it is incredibly safe just because of the different chemical compositions. And that's something that we don't have to actually build a huge database, because many scientists and chemists just know that. And I think that's part of the instinctive part of this product that makes it so good. But clearly we've got to be bringing it to life and connecting it all in the right way. But I think this is why we're so confident that it's going to play an important role in the energy market going forward.
And if maybe I can just add to that, because I think the question may also be, how differentiated we are in terms of from other technologies. And 2 things I would say is, one, we have extensive patent portfolio, many of which are granted in territories around the world. So we have IP protection, which differentiates us and protects us from others. But the chemistry, the zinc bromide chemistry, is fundamentally safe, and not many chemistries can offer the same as that. So in applications where safety, non-flammable, robustness are important, we have a particular advantage which is inherent to our chemistry, which others cannot easily replicate. So we feel, from an IP and from an inherent chemistry point of view, we have advantages which other technologies can't easily usurp.
Thank you, Steve. I want to thank Simon for his comments. The product is so good. If you produce, they will buy. Definitely, we believe in that. The last question from John F., and I think we covered this, is how long will the trial last with Acciona? Have you started shipping products to the company yet?
So I can pick that up. Look, I think the Acciona details were announced in February. So I think we're on the same timetable as we were there. Our drive, though, is we want to ship more product to more customers more quickly. And so a lot of what we're doing is to be able to put ourselves in a position to do that, because it is true that if we build it, they will come. But it's only half true, because you've got to have the right partnerships and delivery capability and financing solutions and warranty protection and O&M and so on. So I think what we're trying to do is, and what in my experience really differentiates successful technology companies from those who are not, is you have to know what every member of the value chain is getting out of it, and have a proposition that works for everyone in the value chain so you can deliver to market successfully. And really, that's what we're doing. So we have a great technology, but now we're putting the proposition together so the whole value chain can deliver to the market. And really, that starts with us working with manufacturers, and then manufacturers with system integrators and so on. So I think clearly we need to build it, but for us, we're putting all of the bits of the jigsaw together so that we have a successful solution for our customers. And that's really what will differentiate our success. So long-winded answer to the question.
Thank you, Steve. I think this is the last question probably for the evening. Question from Grant. I think we just need to check the facts there. It says the IPO was aiming to raise 200 million pounds. Currently, our market cap is 100 million. Is this a problem?
Yeah, well, I can pick that one up. It's quite an easy one. No, not a problem. We targeted raising 16 million. We were fully subscribed. We raised all the capital we needed to execute our plan. So I think that was probably just maybe a misread, but no, not a problem at all.
That's fantastic. Thank you all for addressing all those questions from investors. Of course, the company will review any further questions submitted today, and we'll publish responses on the Investor Meet Company platform. Hannah, before redirecting investors to provide you with their feedback, which I know is particularly important to you and the company, could I please ask you just for a few closing comments, please?
Thanks. Look, I think it's been a rich session, and the key themes still stand, which are sitting up there today. But we think we've got great technology, but great technology can't do great things without a great team, and that's what we've got. We were in the right market at the right time. It's essential for energy security and for energy costs that we make this energy storage work. And we're well funded, and our strategy is the right strategy. And as we've discussed, we're really differentiated from other forms of technology, and that will create a natural hunger. And we see that hunger, every day as we speak to prospective customers. So overall, as many of the comments were in the final thing, is if we build it, they'll come. And we think that the amount of excitement there is around the potential of this technology, can be translated into commercial success. But we have to put in place the manufacturing partnerships. We have to put in place the long-term supply agreements to make this all happen. And we have those milestones set out, and we're working very hard towards them. And we've got a passionate and engaged team that really want to bring this to life. So thank you all for your attention today and for all the great questions. And we look forward to keeping you updated as we go forward.
That's fantastic. Hannah, Steve, Amit, thank you again for updating investors today. Could I please ask investors not to close the session, as you'll be automatically redirected to provide your feedback in order that the management team can better understand your views and expectations. This will only take a few moments to complete. I'm sure it's greatly valued by the company. On behalf of the management team of GELION PLC, we'd like to thank you very much for attending today's presentation. That concludes today's session. Thank you and good morning to you all.